To unnerve India's sensitivities, China sends $2.8 million worth products and consumer items to Nepal. The move has just come at a time when India has announced to help Mongolia with $1 billion credit line announced last year during PM Narendra Modi's Mongolia visit. China, in order to punish Mongolia, recently has levied economic sanctions following spiritual leader Dalai Lama's Mongolia visit in November. China's official mouthpiece, Global Times, preached that both China and India should refrain from excessive sensitivities. Global Times warned India there may be endless trouble in the future if India views efforts to facilitate the export of goods from China's enterprises as a potential threat to the sale of Indian-made products in Nepal. For instance, China is already planning to build a new railway to further shorten the trade route connecting the two countries as Beijing pushes forward with the One Belt, One Road initiative. China won't be overly sensitive about India's cooperation with Mongolia and won't mistake India's assistance as a counter to China, Global Times reported. Mongolia wants India to publicly protest China's decision to arbitrarily introduce border tariffs as a way to punishing this landlocked country for inviting Dalai Lama in November. Mongolia has a long spiritual relationship with India. It is important that India raises its voice against the unilateral measures China is taking against Mongolia, which is hurting Mongolian people, especially when severe winter is upon them. Silence could be construed as giving China a pass for its behavior. Mongolia's ambassador is being quoted while reporting, "It is not yet clear what kind of support India can give Mongolia, whose two biggest neighbors are China and Russia. India has committed to support Mongolia. India considers Mongolia to be a partner in democracy. India would help them use the $1 billion assistance offered in 2015 to tide over the present crisis, economic sanctions imposed by China as punishment for inviting the Dalai Lama." After the Dalai Lama visited Mongolia for the 9th time in November, which Mongolia allowed in the teeth of China's official objections, Mongolia suddenly found all official interactions with Chinese officials cancelled. Trucks crossing into China's autonomous province of Inner Mongolia are now charged 10 yuan each and 0.1% of the worth of the cargo if it is beyond 10,000 yuan, which includes copper and cooking coal among other things. Mongolia is in the grip of severe winter, and the Chinese action is affecting movement of essential commodities. China's actions hold unhappy portents for China's One Belt, One Road policy, if countries on China's periphery can be arbitrarily subjected to economic sanctions if they go against Beijing's diktat. In their recently declassified documents, Zhao and Lai almost came to fisticuffs with the then PM of Mongolia, Numjagen Sidenbel, in 1964. The issue was the Sino-Indian War, and the China demanded Ulaanbaatar support its view. Mongolia and India have strong Buddhist linkages. In fact, India is credited with reviving Buddhism in the country as it sent Kusak Bakula, a Buddhist monk, as ambassador to the country in the 1990s. Mongolians follow Mahayana school of Buddhism as the population in Ladakh. Bakula took Buddhist scriptures to Mongolia, set up a school for Buddhism in the country, and sent new monks to India to study Buddhism. Now India is proactively seeking to reclaim its Buddhist legacy from China, and Dalai Lama form an important element of it. Recently, the government has announced Dalai Lama's visit to Tabang in Arunachal Pradesh, a move that is definitely going to evoke a sharp response from China. China is more able to enforce its views to Mongolia now, being a superpower. Russia is unlikely to be much help because Moscow is now virtually Beijing's junior partner. Mongolia's economy is highly dependent on China, with more than 90% of its imports and exports traded directly with China. As such, China's influence on Mongolia's economy cannot be replaced by India in the short run, and efforts will be in vain if India attempts to bribe Mongolia's loyalty with only $1 billion. China's official mouthpiece, Global Times, warned India